Welcome to another episode of Rectec Reels. I'm Rob Green, founder and CEO here at Rectec, and today I'm joined by email deliverability guru Ben Fielding from Quinset. Ben, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Oh, thanks, Rob. Yeah, I've been an email addict, not quite as long as email has been around, which was before I was born, but I've been involved in email systems for the last nearly 30 years. I've been working with recruiters now for nearly a decade, and I'm obsessed with helping recruiters with email deliverability. I'm a proper DNS geek, messaging geek, but also branch into even if you get that email in the inbox, why are they going to open it anyway?
It's fair to say I have never met another guy that is so obsessed with email deliverability. And I remember the first call that we had quite a long time ago now. I remember being absolutely wowed by your knowledge in this particular area. And you've already mentioned DNS, which I'm sure most people don't know anything about. So we'll come on to talk about that. But yeah, in terms of structure of this, I'm going to ask you a few questions, which I think is probably going to help our audience.
hmm
And the first question I thought that might be valuable for our audience is, what is the biggest thing that impacts email deliverability?
Well, in this order, being marked as spam by people. So human beings receiving your emails and thinking, I don't want these, marking you as spam. These spam algorithms or the big service providers collectively take all that experience of what people think of your emails and make decisions for other people. It's definitely one of the hardest barriers to get past. There's also not just human beings marking you as spam, but the systems themselves, the anti-spam algorithms being triggered because of the way you've created the message, the content, the words, hyperlinks, the way attachments have been put into the message. So those two kind of like anti-spam features can have the biggest impact.
Definitely. Now, I've worked with recruiters on a regular basis for a long time, and I know that they love a bit of cold outreach. I guess it's almost akin to, some of the sales emails that you get. If you're not interested at that particular point in time, there's a potential for you to click something as spam, or there's potential for that content to be seen as spammy by some of the automated content filters. So it just emphasizes how important it is to get the messaging right and to make sure that you're sending that message to the right people at the right time.
Yeah, I think if people are marking you as spam, and I see this a lot with recruiters, you said, and you alluded to, you send a specific message about taking action now. If that's not relevant to you in that minute, i.e., I'm not hiring right now, or I'm not hiring for that type of role, I think, well, I don't need these messages. I'm just going to get rid of these. I've had too many of them, so I'm going to mark it as spam. Whereas, yeah, different approaches are more you might not be hiring right now, but when you are, have you thought about, have you considered this is the type of candidate we could be putting in front of you?
Yeah.
Great link to your website about how to hire the next whatever it's going to be that you're advertising.
Or
Yeah.
actually just content that isn't necessarily salesy, but content that they get value from, like I don't know, like a white paper or something in there that they can actually, even if they're not hiring and you're not asking them to take action now, you're giving them something that's valuable. That means that maybe they're not wanting to report your spam, or your reputation is going up with that particular individual.
Yeah, it's the difference between sending a sales email that's
Mm.
about getting a sale there and then, and sending a marketing email, which is about demonstrating the depth and breadth of your brand and how that you understand the
Mm.
challenges and the problems that your customers have.
Amazing. And you said there were three things. I think we talked about two. What was the last one?
Oh, the one that everyone loves, the DNS, the SPF, the DKIM, the DMARC, all the little codes and words and letters that recruiters wish they didn't need to know about, but they
Yeah.
absolutely have to.
Now, like you, I've been around for a long time. I'm not an email deliverability expert, but I do happen to know what SPF and DKIM are. But for those people, I guess the majority of people that are watching this, what the hell is SPF and DKIM?
So we've been on a bit of a journey with email. The Wild West before any of these acronyms existed. Any system in the world could send an email as anyone to anyone without any level of protection. So SPF was brought out as you to publish a record on your domain. It's a set of rules and says these systems here, this is where I send emails from. So if they didn't come from these sources,
Hmm.
I didn't send them. They weren't from me. So it was a way to protect senders from their domains being spoofed, someone pretending to be you. and that was okay, right? It's definitely a good first attempt, but it's not infallible. And then DKIM or DKIM came out, and essentially a really simple way of explaining this is your email system bakes a bit of code in the email when it gets sent. The receiving email server gets that email, looks up your domain online, and kind of verifies between the three that, do you know what, this email did come from a legitimate source that is allowed to send to this domain. So between SPF and DKIM, you've got like a double tick in the box of right,
It's
this is valid.
digital handshake.
This has come from the right place. I trust this more than a message that fails these checks.
Awesome. Very good and succinct explanation.
Yeah, the
What's
other
the
sorry, the other one I forgot to mention. I didn't even mention DMARC. People always get a bit confused by DMARC.
Yeah.
And the basics of DMARC are, by the way, a little code on your domain that says if it failed these SPF and DKIM checks, I'm going to
Mm,
tell you, person who's receiving my email, what to do. And you can either just let them do what they want, whatever they choose, mark
mm.
it as spam, reject it, accept it, or you can actually force them to reject the message. I didn't send it. My domain's been spoofed. I want you to reject that message. So it's a security setting on your own domain to protect you.
Very good. So what is the like as a recruiter, what is the one thing that I can change right now that's going to have the biggest impact on the deliverability of my emails?
So I know recruiters love a dashboard, right? We love a dashboard. We love stats. We love targets. And you can get these kind of services for your email as well. So there's a really good free service called Google Postmaster. You make one little change in your domain and you get insights into what Google think of your domain. I know not every person you send to is on Google, but it's a really good kind of measure of probably what's going on in the rest of the world.
Hmm.
What percentage of people mark you as spam? How many are passing all those SPF and DKIM checks? Are my emails coming from a valid source, etc., etc. So that's a lovely dashboard you can get for free. And then there's DMARC reporting. So setting those systems up can tell you what's happening. And you can go and test that these things are set up without necessarily having all these tools involved. There's loads of testing tools out there. You head off to quinset.co.uk and click on Power Mail, DMARC reporting. There's a little testing tool in there. Put your domain in, it tells you whether or not these things are set up properly.
Lovely little
But
plug, Ben.
yeah, well, of course. It's about knowing, right? Knowing
Hmm.
what's going on rather than hoping and guessing what's going on and having dashboards and potentially targets off of that, right? We're going to try and get our deliverability up. We're trying to get our user reported spam down and
Yeah.
measuring how you're doing on that progress as you go.
And in terms of like recruiters and cold outreach, um, I know that a lot, and I receive a lot of email as well from recruiters because once you start working with somebody, you're almost instantly on their database, and you become a recipient of these emails, whether you've chosen to or not. Um, should people be doing cold outreach from their main domain, or are there other ways that they should be approaching this to make it more successful?
So I've got a mixture of clients who have like two kind of polarized approaches to this.
Hmm.
If you take it just very simply, if your primary domain has got a good reputation, absolutely it can afford you to be doing cold outreach, but not only cold outreach, right? You're looking at a domain where those emails are going out, being delivered, and they've got really positive engagement. So it could be you've absolutely nailed the cold outreach, and every single person you message genuinely wants that message, and you get a sale from every single email that goes out. Highly unlikely,
Be
but
nice, wouldn't it?
yeah. But it's more than likely from your main domain, you've got day-to-day emails going out to people you already know. You've got newsletters going out to people that already buy your services, that are already a customer or a client of yours. So absolutely, your primary domain can afford to handle that cold outreach as well. That said, there can be value in having what the industry has referred to as a burner domain. The problem with having a burner domain is they only get used for cold outreach. So essentially, you kill their reputation quicker. And this
Yeah.
is why they're called burners. It's, you get one, you spin it up, you do loads of cold, you warm them up, you get them in a really good place, hammer the cold outreach, and over weeks, months, the reputation nosedives, and right, we're on to the next one. It's a lot of hard work, and you could put all that effort into driving more warmer emails out of your primary domain, the newsletters, the outreach, the marketing, the
Yeah.
awareness, the education emails that could
But
probably counter that anyway.
so I'm guessing that most of those, like whenever you're sending email, it doesn't always need to be coming from the same domain. It could be that perhaps those marketing emails, those that are likely not to get reported as spam, could come from your primary domain. And those that are perhaps more salesy, that are slightly more at risk of being reported as spam, or some of the content being picked up by the automated spam filters, maybe those could come from those burner domains. And it's the first time I've heard the expression burner domain, but I'm assuming you're buying a domain that you don't really intend to keep. And then you mentioned about warming up. That's a process that presumably you follow to create some form of reputation for that
Yeah.
domain. And then you use it for a period of time until that reputation drops below a threshold. And then you buy
Yeah.
another one.
That's exactly that. And I know I've worked with recruiters who've got a dozen burner domains that they're continually cycling through. They start to see a bit of negative impact on one, they drop it off and they start to use another one. So they kind
Gotcha.
of never burn them to the ground completely. They're kind of just rotating through them. And it is a tactic, right? It is a strategy to that you can work with. But it isn't necessary for every recruiter. Because as I said, I've got recruiters who've just got one
Yeah.
primary domain. They've only ever had one primary domain. They've had a high domain reputation. They send a million emails a month. They get a couple of percent people marking as spam, but they've absolutely nailed the target audience, the
Yeah.
messaging type, and a good kind of clear mix between what's a job alert type of email, right? I've got
Yeah.
this role. Do you want it? Right. Through to what is more kind of BDM kind of activity of, hey, you want to work with us because we're amazing.
Mm. Now I can see a potential issue with that approach, and I think I've been on the receiving end of this before, where somebody will send me an email that will come from a certain company. I can't remember, and I've been on the receiving end of this before, where I've marked a an email as spam. So I'm telling, say, Outlook, for example, I don't want to receive email from this company anymore. But actually, they're using multiple domains. And if they use multiple domains, it could be the following day or the following week, I get another very similar email from the same company, and I might report that as spam. And the following week, I get, and actually, all that's happening is that every time you send an email, where you're using multiple domains, is that the chances of that domain being reported as spam is going up and up and up because you're sending it to people that have previously reported it as spam, and they're just becoming more and more frustrated.
Yeah, and I think potentially the the bigger impact is on the reputation of the brand. Okay,
Exactly.
so this isn't just about the technical side of stuff. This is if this is the kind of behavior I should expect from you, why would I want to work with you? Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
'Cause a lot of this cold outreach is done from platforms that you'll market as spam. You might not have an opportunity to unsubscribe. And one thing I say to all recruiters is make it really, really easy for people to unsubscribe, right? Let them qualify themselves out
Mm.
without affecting the reputation of your domain. In
Yeah.
fact, it can help because they've clicked on a link in your email. You sent them another email that says, thank you for unsubscribing, whatever it might be. Well, they might have to reply to unsubscribe. The
Mm.
algorithms are seeing positive kind of communication with your messages, positive interaction with your messages.
Got
Whereas
it.
if it's just markers junk, markers junk, markers junk, that's nothing but negative. So unsubscribes are really, really powerful.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. All of that stuff I think has been extremely valuable. And if you are watching and you want to learn more about email deliverability, or you want to do a bit of a stress test on your own email deliverability, definitely reach out to Ben. And Ben, thanks. I'm loving the Rectec certified partner
Oh,
badge
over there, yeah.
up there. I don't think I've ever done a Rectec reel before where we've had the Rectec certified partner badge on the screen. So appreciate appreciate the commitment. And obviously, if you're in the market for an applicant tracking system or recruitment CRM or a HR information system or any other recruitment technologies, then do check out rectech.io as well. We have Rectech Compare, where you can compare all manner of recruitment software and make sure you find the right tech stack for your business. Ben, thank you so much again. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll catch up with you again soon.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.